Alright, so hello everyone, thank you for watching. This is my name, Dylan Boone, and I'm going to be doing an informative speech about the NFL draft and the offseason and how it works. So, a couple of basic things we really need to know before we need to talk about this is there's 32 teams in the NFL, National Football League. There's 2 conferences, 16 on each side, AFC, the NFC. There's 4 divisions in the NFL, or in the sub-conferences. There's 4 teams in those divisions, and before the season starts, all the teams need to slim down on their roster spots to get a 53-man roster, so each team doesn't have an advantage. So according to NFL.com, there's most of the frequently asked questions about NFL free agency off-season is when does it start? When does it end? What are the draft days? So the start date for free agency, it starts maybe mid-March, ends about mid-April, so it's about a month for the free agency period. The draft starts end of May, and it's 3 days. The first day is the first round, the second day is the second and third round, and then the last day is the rest of the rounds 4 through 7. So, according to entertainment.howstuffworks.com, the salary cap, each team has a set amount of money to spend on their players to get to a full roster. So the salary cap rises each year, and a good stat I found was that in the early 2000s, the salary cap was about 90 million. Now it is 174 to about 178 million in salary. So it's risen a lot because of the inflation and people are just getting richer. So, in the salary cap, it only applies to the players. It does not apply to the coaches, does not apply to the trainers, doctors, upper management, only the players. So, when players get their contracts, they have 2 things included in their contract. 1, a signing bonus. A signing bonus can be used to persuade the player to have a back-heavy contract. A back-heavy contract is something that the salary is split up into the years. So for example, a 4-year, $32 million contract, and they get $20 million guaranteed. They will get the $20 million guaranteed, but it'll be split out into those years. Into the back heavy, that means they're going to get more towards the end of their contract. But the only bad thing about guaranteed money is if someone retires or they're released, that $20 million cap penalty hits them the next season. So cash incentives, there's LBT and NLBT, is likely to be earned and not likely to be earned. Likely to be earned is pretty much the goals for the players for the previous season. So, for example, if if you want a running back to rush for over 1,000 yards and he does that the previous season, he gets more cash. But if he doesn't, no big deal. It doesn't hurt the team in the cap situation at all. But if he does achieve it, the player gets his money and it's included in his team's salary. And also, if the cash incentives, it could be something as simple as showing up to off-season workouts, mini camps, etc. And if you don't show up to those, you lose your money. Restricted versus unrestricted free agents. Restricted means you can only be signed for a 3-year, or like a 3 one-year contracts. And that means the team that has you, that you're going to be free agent, you cannot talk to any other teams unless you get offered from another team. And that means if another team tries to offer you a contract, your team that had you before can match that offer. But if the other team signs you and the other team does not want to retain you, they have to give up a draft pick, depending on what the tender was. You put a first-round tender on that player, a second-round tender on that player, just depends. Unrestricted, just a normal free agent. Anyone can sign with anyone. But you have to be on a team, an NFL roster, for 4 years to be an unrestricted free agent, according to SuperBowlNation.com. The franchise tag is very similar to the restricted free agent. You can be an unrestricted free agent, and a team can put a franchise tag on you. That means it can blind the player from talking to any other teams, and you can re-sign him for 1 year, a minimum of 1 year, to get a long-term deal in the offseason so no one else can talk to him. And every NFL team gets one per year, 1 player per year to franchise tag. So trading, According to healthfully.com, players can be traded at any point before the trade deadline, which is about week 8 in the regular season. The trade must be successful both ways, and that I mean the cap situation. You can't trade if a team only has 20 million cap and you're trying to trade for a person that has 50 million contract. You can't do it unless you have to get the salaries to work. And you can't have over 53 roster spots on your team. NFL draft, that's where the best college players in college go to the NFL draft and continue their dreams, hopefully get drafted by an NFL team. There's 7 rounds in the draft. Each team gets 1 pick per round if you don't trade it. Order is determined by the worst record to the best record. So if you're the worst record, you'll get the number 1 pick. Postseason play, that determines the 21 through 32 spots. If your team makes the postseason, depends on how well they do in the postseason to determine your spot. And compensatory picks, you were granted those in the free agency. If you didn't do anything in the previous free agency, you will be granted compensatory picks. Normally that's 3rd through 7th round picks, depending on how good that player was that you didn't sign. And it's just basically a boost to your team if you didn't do anything that year, according to draftsite.com. More about the NFL draft, the player eligibility for the college players, they must have been out of high school for at least 3 years. Underclassmen can apply to go in the draft for the NFL personnel. The player personnel staff, they review all the applicants reviewed by the players that submitted them. They also work with the teams, the colleges, agents to gather their status. And they also gather information for the pro day and private workouts for the NFL teams to scout them. Salaries, the higher the pick, the more money you get. If you're the first overall pick, you may get $30 million guaranteed. If you're the last pick, you may get $8 million guaranteed. It's just that simple. And if you're an undrafted free agent, you basically get a maximum of $450,000. Undrafted free agents, basically what I said earlier, teams can sign as many of them as possible. They just have to be under the off-season 90-man roster size before the off-season ends. And thank you for watching my speech, and that is it, ladies and gentlemen.